Well, we are now going live here on Facebook. So what a joy it is to be together tonight, and what a privilege to be able to have a chance to connect with Jim Kaya, the CEO of Empowering Lives. Don here that's talking is the Chief Visionary Officer. And 25 years ago, the gentleman that you see here tonight is Samuel Tumuge, and Samuel and I, with our wives, were able to found and launch Empowering Lives International in Kenya. 25 years ago, Samuel, by a calling of God, was able to contribute property, and he is just one of the most amazing community development ministers, let me call him minister, that I have ever met, and a privilege to be able to serve with him. So Samuel, we want to jump right in with some of the questions. 2013, we were able to bring a special group to the training center for time of training, illegal brewers, and it's now about 8 years later, and that number is approaching almost 2,000 families that have left illegal brewing. Majority have come to Christ. Samuel, from your perspective, as you are on the ground working with these people, village to village, what do you see is happening now?
This is a movement right from the beginning in 2013. To 2013.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this came about by a group of women who had been brewing for many years, and they had been suffering under the hands of the chief and the police because they are doing illegal brewing of alcohol. So the chief, having known what Empowering Lives does at Ukweli Training Center, he invited us to go to the village. On our arrival, we met 46 people, 2 men and 44 women, and they were saying, please, Samuel and Dennis, help us so that we can come out of this alcohol. In their minds, they were thinking about financial assistance. They wanted to be given some money so that they can do alternative business. But we were not aware of that request. And so we told them, we are very sorry. We've come only to hear what you are having in your community. And the Spirit of the Lord led us to the scriptures in the book of Luke chapter 4:18.
Yes.
And for sure, we are anointed by God to reach out those who are blind, those who are oppressed, and those who are poor.
Mm-hmm.
And so, prompted by the Holy Spirit, we told them that the only thing we can do is to have you come to Ukweli Training Center for training, because that is where we have some demonstrations which can probably maybe help you to go back home. And also we gave out 2 conditions. One is that nobody is going to finance your traveling to Ukweli,
Mm-hmm.
but you'll have to get money in whatever way. And secondly, you pay registration fee of Kenya shillings 400 for the week. But of course, that 400 is not even enough for a meal's day. And so they said, yes, we're coming. We will come. But we asked them, what do you want us to do for you? Why are you here? When you are traveling, coming this way, and when you slept in the night, what did you think about being here? So I asked each one of them. And in the middle of asking, one of the ladies said, I want to know Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
I said, what? She said, I want to know Jesus. I said, okay, just a minute. Then I went to the others. They talked about poultry keeping. dairy cows, planting horticulture crops. Then I came back to the one who said she needed Jesus. Said, what did you say? She said, I said, I need Jesus in my life. I didn't clap my hands and say, praise the Lord, wonderful. I asked, why?
Yeah.
Why do you need Jesus? She said, Jesus, when he comes into my life, it becomes permanent change.
Mm-hmm.
And that I'll not go back again to this illegal business. Then I turned to the rest and said, how many of you are in the same position like this lady? Every one of them, almost putting their two hands up and said, surely we need Jesus. The Lord gives us a way of asking them genuinely, and they have always responded positively, and they have always talked even more than what we asked. And so we train them on what they want.
Mm-hmm.
If they say they need business, we have staff who are equipped with business skills. If they want to do farming, we have staff who know about farming, what type of farming, horticulture, cows, dairy, or any other activity that they feel they want to do.
In Kenya, Samuel, you've taught me, and Amy and I have seen over these over 20 years that we've lived there, establishing the ministry, how people are able to take maybe 2 chickens. They start with 2 chickens, and with the right strategy, they can actually come out of poverty, or they learn how to make bread, or they learn how to make soap. Can you tell us a little bit about how people can start with something small and in the end, after some months, actually be able to crush poverty?
Well, yeah, this is about skill development.
Mm-hmm.
They have always had chickens,
Mm-hmm.
but majority of them, they lose because of maybe sickness, because of predators who come and kill the chickens even at night. But in this training, we are enabling them to get some technical skills that can help them to treat that, to know how to identify sicknesses in chickens. And once they have identified, then they are taught on what to give them, to treat them. And they know the agrovets in our villages that have the drugs that they can give to the chickens or cows or sheep or goats. And so our staff are equipped with all those skills. And not only at the training center, after they have been trained here, then we have what we call a follow-up training. We visit them to see that what we trained has been followed. And so our following up these people has really boosted them, because it's one thing to learn theory, and to go practical is another thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so we go to the village and begin to walk along that path with them to help them to do the right thing and to engage the right people and to get knowledge from the right trained people.
You're looking at Sylvester from the village of Cherangani. This is a place where the chief of the village was struggling with alcohol and brewers for 20 years without success. They were only arresting people, finding them, putting them in the prisons. But he heard about Empowering Lives on the radio, and he found Samuel and Dennis. He invited them to come out to talk with the community. And the short story is there is over 240 families in that village alone that have stopped brewing. Sylvester is the husband of a former brewer. And when he saw his wife stop brewing, starting business, becoming a leader and sober and good reputation, then his own conviction grew so strong that he asked for help. And now Sylvester is the leader of one of the men accountability group in his village. I think he has over 15 men that his former drinking friends, they all have come to Christ into sobriety. And Sylvester has planted avocado trees. He's now, you see these dairy goats. This man has moved ahead, and he's such an amazing example to his community, where prior he was completely unproductive, a violent man. He even showed me the little stool at his home just right after he was saved. He said, this little stool that was all broken up, he said, this is what I used to throw at my wife trying to injure her. And he's just so apologetic and so remorseful for that violent life. But now they have reconciled, and he's moving ahead in a powerful way. One of the things that you said, actually, there's two things that you've said tonight. If you can tell us a little more. One, you said this is a spirit-led movement. And then you also said what the approach ELI uses is unique. So maybe you can briefly explain a little bit more. What do you mean that ELI is unique and that it is a spirit-led movement?
Yeah, I said that because we are not the ones who initiates reaching out these people. It is not a program like what the government does. We know there are problems. We know there's brewing in villages, but we only go there once they have identified their problem and they call us to go to the village. Unlike in government, the government has programs in villages and everywhere in the country. And so they take what they have been trained on, and they go to a village and say, this is what we have brought to you. We want to teach you about cows, want to teach you about horticulture, want to teach you about this. And yet the people have not asked. There is no time for them to do like we do, go there to look, listen, and learn. And once we have known, that's also combined with now relationship, people to get to know us, to really know us, where we come from, and where we live, and what we are involved in. And so the government will go there with a typed program, typed notes, meet them, write their names down, and for 1 hour they are done, or 2 hours they are done, and they say, now we have done it. And yet in the next year, the same problem occurs. They have not done anything. And so why I say this is a movement is, I remember 2018 when we had over 2,000 women of change and even government officials. We held a big meeting on 22nd of August, where we invited 2 governors of 2 counties and other from other 3 counties. So as this, we have 7 leaders of women of change, and they are the ones who came to testify in front of all their friends that they have quit brewing and now they are doing God-honoring income. Mm-hmm. And they were very smart, and they testified of how the Lord has really changed them through empowering lives. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, the governor of Elgeyo Marakwet, Engineer Tolgos, announced to over 2,000 people and said, this is the way we should go. And so he said, we want to now go the ELI way, which is a spiritual movement. Mm-hmm. And his friend from the neighboring county where Empowering Lives office is, even started saying, why have you done these trainings in my county? And I have not brought my people there. And so he also said, this is Governor Mandako. He said, now I am going to do the ELI way. And he didn't stop there. He invited us to his office. I remember Don Rogers, you were there with the board in Kenya. We went to Mandako's office and he assigned us, his staff, to work with us. But because they don't have the skills and the vision that we have, we have never been invited by those staff. It is hard. They don't know how to begin. But to us, it is so simple. You look, listen, and learn in the village. Ask people, what is it that is really hurting? And so the government, the county governments are now saying the ELI way, this movement is the best because it is being driven by the people themselves who get transformed.
Yeah.
And that's why we have come up with the word, we are enlightening, igniting world changers. And so now we call these recovered brewers and alcoholics, we call them world changers because one has gone like Ruth. She came in, she got transformed, and Ruth now has changed over 50 other women who are brewing in the village. And so they also get the vision and the love to reach their friends who are still suffering. And so that's a spiritual propelling their lives.
Samuel, there was a question put across. Do we give these people their first chickens or their first cows to help them get on their way? We don't give them money, but do we give them some of these first agricultural inputs even, is a question that was asked. How would you respond to that? And what's the ELI way for helping people get their start?
Now, there are two things here. One is that we don't give out handouts. We have no handouts. Secondly, we help these people to discover their potential. And what has become so powerful is that Dennis, who is our business trainer, has used 5 S's. One is when you get back home after training, start with what you have. They can be having a local cow, but there's a way that they can improve that cow over the years, and it can improve in milk production. And then secondly is start straight away. Don't wait. And then start small. Don't think of 100 chickens. That's why we are using few chickens. Start with the few chickens you have, using the skills they have received. And then start slowly. No hurry. Because if you hurry, that means there's something you really want to get quickly, and you may skip a lot of steps and what you have been trained on. And then finally is to share what you have with others. And that is why now this multiplication is going very fast, because one will share with another, and then another, and then another, and it is going on throughout, even now. Even communities are increasing. I'm sure you have not looked in some of the areas we have covered recently. So there are communities calling every day. They see some of these things over the media, because the media houses sometimes revisit what they had taken in 2014, 2020. And so when people see on media, televisions, they call us because they have our numbers there. And so communities are increasing.
And Samuel, I know the story, that the idea of start with what you have. And I love this story that you've told me before, where so often during some of these brewer trainings, in the very beginning, when they first arrive to Ilula, you'll ask them what you have, and they'll often say, we have nothing. That's why we've come for training. And then you'll have them share, well, how many of you have even a cooking pot? And they'll raise their hands. How many of you even have a cooking stick? And they'll raise their hands. How many of you even have a chicken? And they'll slowly raise their hands. And slowly, and then I thought you said you had nothing. And then they start listing off all the things they actually have that they had completely discounted as saying, you have nothing. And yet now you have a whole list on your whiteboard or your chalkboard of everything they're itemizing that they're having. As these ladies begin to recognize the things they actually are having, what do you notice begins to even change in the room, even as they're talking? What do you see begins to open up inside of them?
Well, for some, they become so excited and they even may want to leave immediately to go and implement what they have learned. Mm-hmm. Because they see that those are some of the things they have, but they have not realized that that is the way they go. And so from day one, day two, day three, they begin to open up and they begin to share openly and sincerely that they have really messed up their lives with this brewing.
I hope all of you are getting our newsletters where we've talked about family hope, where we are raising up a team of local people who grasp these ideas of business and spiritual development, and we're training and pouring into them over a series of different trainings until they will be able to transform several hundred families in their own communities. We're basically raising up missionaries in every village from within the village. That's those of you, many of you are supporting Family Hope every month. You're giving something towards that. That is helping what we're talking about today with Samuel moving forward. Well, listen, thank you so much to each and every one of you. You'll see right now, I've just typed that link, empoweringlives.org/prayer. So just click that link. Make sure you're on our prayer team, would you?